Hello friends, welcome back to Aunt Debbie's Boutique. What you're looking at here is the only pieces of a jelly roll that we are going to throw away. These are the dog ears that I clipped off of a bunch of half square triangles, and that is the only waste we're going to have from our jelly roll. If you will remember in the video that's jelly roll number 3, it was the log jam pattern. We did some half square triangles and we salvaged the part we cut off. Now let me just move this out of the way. Actually, this isn't going to be trash. It's going to go into a dog bed, into a pillowcase that will make a dog bed for one of the local shelters. But here are all the half square triangles that were the quote waste from the log jam pattern. We also had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 strips left. And we're going to use all of this on a quilt today. Now I am just going to make a doll quilt for a little girl I know. But you could easily make it into a baby quilt or into a even a throw quilt if you would add some solid squares, either of the background fabric or just pick a solid color to go in here. You could also add some sashing. Any of those things would make the quilt much bigger borders. But I'm just going to use what we had left from the quilt. And this is everything that was left. Okay. There are an infinite number of ways, we move this, that we could put together these half square triangles. So I thought of just doing something real simple. Something like this. Oh, and by the way, I starched and ironed all of these. I used Mary Ellen's Best Press, which is a starch alternative, and ironed them all. And I had a couple that I was going to show you how I cut off the dog ears, and I've already mixed it up. But the dog ears are the part that once you iron this back that's sticking out. So you just clip those off. And I'll probably come across those and I can show you. But this is a very simple pattern that you've probably seen done a lot. So I thought about doing that, but that was too boring for me. So I thought about doing it this way. And I kind of liked this pattern. So that's one to consider. But then I came up with another one. Okay, this is the pattern. Let me kind of move all these out of the way. This is the pattern I think I want to go with. Okay, I don't know if you can really tell, but there's kind of a, it's kind of almost like a figure eight kind of wrapping through there. And my quilt is going to be 12 squares by 12 squares, which should be a round 24-inch square. So it will work out perfectly in this pattern because they're in groups of 2s and 3s and 4s, and that's all divisible into 12. So let me lay this completely out, and then I'll bring you back and show it to you. Okay, I have the pattern laid out. I had to just really squeeze it together to get it all to fit on my table here. So it may not look like it's laid out right, but it is. Now what I'm going to do is just the same way, excuse me for knocking the camera, is the same way I put together even a 9 patch. I'm going to start up here in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to sew these 2 together. Then I'm going to go down and sew the next 2, then the next 2, the next 2, all the way down and chain that. Then when I get that all done, I'm going to come back up to the top, and I'm going to add the 3rd one to each row. And I'm going to do these in groupings of 3 because that's a pattern. And that way, if I make a mistake, I can catch it. And I probably will. These are a lot of pieces to not get something turned funny, and I'm notorious for that. So you can watch me as I put together this first strip. Okay, I have my 1/4-inch foot on. And I want to square these up as best I can before I put them under my needle. And I want to use a leader that gives me a running start so I don't have to backstitch. And now I'll just chain the first 2 rows together. Now I'm going to go back up to the top. And I'm going to add the next row. Okay, let's iron. I'm going to leave that there for now because it's going to tell me which way is the top. And I am going to iron every other row opposite of each other. So that row is going to go towards the center. This one is going to go away from the center. Might be easier to turn it this way. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and then iron that a little better, hopefully. Okay, now we're going to sew the rows together. Okay, on this one I'm not going to use a leader because I'm only sewing 3 squares together at one time. Let's look and see how our seams. That one didn't line up very good at all. Neither one of them did. I'm going to rip that out and do it again. Okay, this time I pinned them, so hopefully. That's better. Okay, let's iron this and then we'll take a look at it. I'm going to iron all the seams one direction on this panel. The next panel I will iron them all the opposite direction. And our seams are getting kind of bulky on this just because of all the half square triangles. So a little steam helps. I'm of the opinion a little steam always helps. Okay, I am going to stick a pin here that tells me this is the top and cut off my little leader now. Okay, let's iron it from this side. Okay, this is our first panel. We're going to have 4 of these. Maybe you can see the pattern now. It kind of, I don't know, looks like it wraps around or something. But I thought that was a little more interesting than some of the other designs. You can also make stars. Usually you need a plain square in the middle that's not a half square triangle. So you could use your background fabric, or you could use coordinating fabric for the center of all your stars, and that would also make your quilt much bigger. All right, I am going to put the other 3 panels together, and then we will sew it into our final quilt top. Okay, here's our 4 columns all ready to be put together. But this is a good point in which, if you want to do sashing, to put sashing between the rows. Now I picked out for my backing fabric this horse fabric. I just love this, and it matches the peach pretty well. And so I am going to use that on the back of this quilt. But I thought it'd sure be pretty to have some blue sashing between these rows. But I couldn't find a blue that matched good enough. These were the closest ones I had. I have lots of navies, and I have lots of blues or turquoise or all, but this is just an odd shade of blue. I find blues and pinks are hard to match. There's so many different shades. But imagine, if you will, just having, let's lay this out here, some blue sashing. We're going to pretend this matches a little bit. I don't know what it looks like on camera. It's close in real life, but it's not good enough. It's a little too bright of a blue. But wouldn't it be pretty to have sashing between these rows in the blue, and then have the peach fabric on the back? And then we're going to use our last 4 strips to do our binding. So I think that would be really pretty. But since I don't have a good blue, and I'm not going to go buy one for a doll quilt, I have such a huge stash of fabric, it would be silly to buy more for a doll quilt. But I'm just going to go ahead and sew these rows together. Now, I didn't spend much time talking about which way to iron the seams or how to match up your corners. If anybody knows of a pattern that's like this out there, would you link it below? This is just a quilt block I've seen a lot, and so I don't know if I don't even know if it has a name. If you know, please link it below. There may be some people who would like to have a pattern of it. And obviously I didn't have a pattern. So, okay, let's take this over to the machine and finish sewing our top together. Now I went ahead and pinned all the intersections so that I had everything nested nicely. I ironed all the seams on one panel going this way and on the other panel going up so that they would nest. We get some real bulky seams in here, as you can see, where there's 3 seams coming together here and there's more on the back side. That's just the nature of dealing with half square triangles. But we're going to have to go slow over all these seams to get over the humps. They're a little bulkier than most quilts. They're a little bulkier than most quilts. All right, our quilt top is done. I'm going to iron these 3 seams we just put in here. And it doesn't matter which way they get ironed. And there is our doll quilt top. Now I will probably quilt this myself and just quilt around the pattern here and on the inside here of all of it. And then we'll add our border. It's just going to be scrappy border using the leftover fabrics, and this will be the backing on it. Now the whole purpose of this video was just to show you how by taking that extra seam when we were making our half square triangles on the log jam quilt, gave us a whole nother quilt ready to be put together. So we essentially got 2 quilts out of 1 jelly roll, and we had 0 waste. And so I think that's pretty good. And we all have plenty of scraps that have piled up from our quilts, and it's nice to know that these scraps aren't going to go in my scrap basket, because they're already in a quilt. And I don't consider this a scrappy quilt because it was all made from the same Jelly Roll. It's all coordinated. It's just a second quilt off of that Jelly Roll. So if you want to, I can't remember if I mentioned this at the beginning or not, but I will link the video for the log jam quilt so you can see how we ended up with all these half square triangles if you haven't seen it already. And they were about 2.5 inches in size, and so they sewed up to about 2 inches. And that makes my quilt 24 by 24 because I had 144 blocks and made it 12 by 12. You could use the same pattern with any size half square triangles and it would make it much bigger, and you could make a longer columns too, so it wasn't a square quilt, so that it's more rectangular. You can add borders, you can, like we showed you, you could add sashing. This is just such a versatile pattern. So I hope somebody has a link to one on there, or that you could follow how I put this together. Essentially, for a column, let's just look at this column. We have this triangle. I have one off down here at the bottom. I'm going to have to take that out. I just knew it. I can't make a quilt without having a mistake. So this one's going to have to be changed around. Just this one. Okay, I fixed my problem down here at the bottom, and while I was at it, I found 3 other squares that were wrong, that were twisted. So I think I have this all fixed now. Let's look at this. We've got these points on each column on the outside, and then we've got this stripe. It alternates print, white, print, white, print, white, print, white, all the way up on all of them. And I've double checked and triple checked before I turned the camera back on. Now, I do not edit out my mistakes. I just feel like maybe it would encourage somebody else when they make a mistake, because we all make mistakes. Even the pros make mistakes. And I know that some people don't like that. I had somebody leave me kind of a tacky comment one time that said that the fact that I didn't edit my mistakes out made them not want to watch me. I just laughed, and then I blocked them from commenting again, because I have zero tolerance for negative comments. Constructive comments are fine. Constructive criticisms, suggestions, but nothing negative. So I'm not perfect, and I make mistakes on every quilt. The thing is, you catch them and you fix them. And I think most people are the same way. So I have fixed mine now. I did make mistakes. I fixed them, and now it's ready to be quilted, and some little girl's going to enjoy this with their dolls. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this, and if you would, please like, subscribe, comment, share. Whatever you can do helps my channel. I will link the other video that went along with this so you can see how these triangles were made in the first place. And I hope you will join me again next time. Please turn on notifications, because I'm very irregular in my postings. It's just whenever I get something done, I post it. And I have a couple of other quilts I'm working on in the background that I think you're really going to like. So anyway, I hope to see you next time. And remember, whatever you do, do it to the glory of the Lord. Thank you.